Welcome to the most haunted graveyards in England. An on-site report for Hocus Focus. I hope Captain Slash ain't here. Oh.
Hello, and welcome to a short report for Hocus Focus. There is an old and forgotten ruin of a church that lays between the ancient villages of Boughton and Moulton, just to the north of the town of Northampton in England. This old church has a few interesting stories attached to it. A notorious highwayman, a sacred well, a shape-shifting ghost, are to name but some. But for this report, let me tell you a little bit about the notorious highwayman George Catherall, otherwise known as Captain Slash. The history of the Northamptonshire church believed to be haunted by a notorious highwayman. There have also been sightings of a red-headed woman, a white-robed lady, and a headless man and children. A Northamptonshire church is believed to be haunted by a notorious highwayman, with other phantoms also being spotted in the area. According to Michael Groves, who researches and explores historical sites across the UK, the 14th century church, St John's in Boughton Green, has one of the most haunted graveyards in the country. He said there have been sightings of a red-haired woman, the cries of a captain, a white-robed lady, and a headless man and a few children. The first documentary evidence of the church dates from the year 1201, sited close to the sacred spring of St John the Baptist, which issues from just underneath its east chancel. As the medieval village declined in the 15th century, the church fell into ruin, although the tower and the spire were still standing in 1773. A biography of the church says a charter in 1353 was granted to give permission for an annual 3-day fair on Boughton Green to celebrate the nativity of St John the Baptist. Woodcrafts and agricultural implements were sold on the first day, festivities with wrestling and horse racing on the second, and cattle were sold on the third. There was a turf maze known as the Shepherd's Race, which was still visible in 1946, but the land is now ploughed as farmland. The annual event remained for many years, and in 1826 the notorious highwayman George Catherall, or Captain Slash, was detained at the Boughton Fair. Catherall was accused of robbing a shoemaker of 11 half-crowns, 1 crown, a neckerchief, a corkscrew, and a waistcoat. The outlaw ran a gang of robbers and murderers who liked to rob country fairs, and was sentenced to death by hanging after his capture. Many hangings took place in Angel Lane, which can be found today behind Northampton Museum and Art Gallery. Between 1819 and 1852, 18 men and women were hanged there, with the gallows being a permanent fixture. They were even built high up so that people could watch the hangings. Catherall was subsequently tried and hanged in Northampton on the 21st of July 1826, but his ghost is believed to be one of the many that roam Boughton Green by the church ruins of Old St John's. And from the Macabre blogspot, it would be remiss of me not to mention the most famous highwayman of Northamptonshire, George Catherall. He was an ex-soldier and a boxer from Bolton in Lancashire, a tall, athletic villain with a mashed-up back due to many military floggings. Viewer discretion is advised, as now I will post an artist's rendition of Catherall at his very worst. He had a small band of troublemakers and had been in the town for a while, committing several robberies. He soon got a name for himself. This name was Captain Slash. The crimes that were his downfall were committed at the Boughton Fair. As it was closing, Catherall and a gang member called Hugh Robinson robbed a James Henley of 11 half-crowns and 1 crown. Also, 1 waistcoat, a neckerchief, a corkscrew and some halfpence. And Catherall alone robbed a James Hannell of £1 in silver. Arrested and tried for assault and robbery at Northampton, the two were found guilty and sentenced to death. Later, Robinson's sentence was commuted to life. The execution was performed in front of a huge crowd on the 21st of July, 1826. Before the fatal moment, Catherall kicked his boots into the crowd, allegedly in defiance of his mother, who said that he would die with his boots on. He convulsed for about 2 minutes before life was deemed extinct. Afterwards, several females approached the corpse to rub their wens and warts on his hands as healing folklore directed. He was buried on the north side of St. Giles Church Yard the same day. In more modern times, the supernatural aspect of long-dead felons has become ingrained in folkloric narrative. Captain Slash is no exception. His ghost is said to haunt St. John's ruins. I'd like to thank Jason Lynham and Samantha Webster from the Beyond the Lichgate website for allowing me to use some of their photos. Also, I would like to thank northantsalive.news/history and the macabreobserver.blogspot.com. Check them all out, guys. They're very, very good.